amongst all of the chaos, elation, devastation of Newcastle finally ending the Mike Ashley era, getting taken over by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and the Public Investment Fund, Amanda Staveley and the Reuben brothers, some news might have gone a little bit under the radar regarding Hull City. Just making you aware. All this news which I'm going to outlay to you, yeah, it might have just slipped under the radar. The Allam family are close to selling Hull City. You might not believe it until it happens, but I'm going to tell you who the buyer is. Is there more than one interested party? Hint, hint. How close is it actually to happening? And all the rest, the full history of the rumours, all of that in, just over the next sort of 10-15 minutes for all of you lovely, lovely lot. But, first of all, let's start with the history of the Allam family's relationship with Hull City. So they bought the club in December 2010 from Russell Bartlett for just £1. However, they invested 30 to 40 million to pay off all of the club's debts. Asim described the purchase of the club as a duty to give back to the area and the community after being so hospitable to him after arriving from Egypt in 1968. Asim became chairman. His son Ehab took on the role of vice chairman. After sacking Nigel Pearson, who was manager when Asim bought the club, and Nick Barmby, who they appointed as a player manager, who would later just become the sole manager, whether because he didn't really play himself. The Allams trusted in Steve Bruce to lead the club back to glory, back to the Premier League, when they appointed him in June 2012. And in May 2013, after just one season at the club, Bruce would do that and Hull City were promoted back to the Premier League. Then we have the name change debacle. In August 2013, Asim discussed his intentions to change the club's name from Hull City to Hull Tigers, calling Hull City Association Football Club, quote, irrelevant, too long and too common. City was also branded as, quote, a lousy identity by Mr. Allam. It was from this point on that the relationships between Asim, between Ehab and the fans just never really recovered. In April 2014, this name change was rejected by the FA. And then just a month later, Hull City reached their first FA Cup final in their 110-year history, losing 3-2 to Arsenal after extra time. Should have won. 2-0 up in 10. Their corner to make it 2-2 was not a corner, but McGregor, if he didn't take 2 steps to his left, the Cazorla free kick would have been right at him, and should have scored. I think it was Alex Bruce should have scored a third about 15 minutes in. Oh God, don't remind me. Let's move on. This FA Cup final also coincided with a record high of 16th place in the Premier League, with one of the sexiest away kits I have ever set eyes on. And this one's up there too. Then in May 2015, after 4 games in the Europa League. The first time the Tigers ever ventured into Europe. Hull City were relegated from the Premier League. But the Tigers were immediately re-promoted. In May 2016, after defeating Derby in the playoff semi-finals, Hull City won the Championship playoff final versus Sheffield Wednesday at Wembley and returned to the Premier League. In the pre-season for that, Steve Bruce had a falling out with Allam and left. There's more stuff within that 15-16 promotion season about how Bruce and Ehab had a falling out. Ehab sacked Bruce, but then reinstated him a couple of hours later. It was all a mess, and it reared its ugly head in the pre-season when Bruce left and was replaced by his assistant and Sir Alex Ferguson's former assistant at Manchester United, current assistant to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United, Mike Phelan. Now, after playing about a month with Phelan in interim charge, won Manager of the Month. We appointed him permanently. We beat champions Leicester on the opening day, played really well against Man United, got points against Swansea in August. It just went downhill straight from there. And Phelan was sacked in January. Very, very early January. Wasn't a good new year for him. And Marco Silva was brought in. He assembled a fantastic squad with loads of loan players, which he was allowed to bring in. However, wasn't enough, and Hull City were relegated from the Premier League. After that, Silva left. All that core of players from that Premier League squad cleared off. Leonid Slutsky, friend of Roman Abramovich, came in as manager. He lasted about half a season. And Nigel Adkins came in. Adkins had a season and a half before the Allams shoved him out the door as well. And it was Grant McCann who was brought in. The season started really well. However, Jared Bowen and Kamil Grzycki were both sold. Lockdown hit, and it was from that moment on, everything just went downhill. And in July 2020, after an 8-0 defeat to Wigan, after the sale of and free departures of so many players since the relegation from the Premier League, Hull City finished 24th in the Championship, bottom of the table, and were therefore relegated to League One with Grant McCann as manager. However, it would be instant redemption for Hull City under Grant McCann. Kept his job into League One and won us the title. And boom, there we are, back in present day. We've gone through nearly 12 years of history. Over 12 years if you count when the negotiations started in September of 2010 between Asim, Allam and Russell Bartlett. And within all of that, I haven't even mentioned the membership scheme, which is very good in its current guise, but when it was first implemented without concessions, was absolutely dog. But who is the new fella, the new potential top dog of Hull City? I will tell you his name through the medium of a graphic which shows you how to actually pronounce his name. So, Turkish media tycoon, pronounced ACUN ILICALI. I have clarification of that, by the way, by a girl in one of my classes at school with Turkish roots. So I've not just made that up out of thin air. I have clarification on how to pronounce that, and that is right. So there's your pronunciation guide on screen. ACUN ILICALI. Let's move on. So that's how you pronounce his name. What does he do? He is a Turkish TV mogul, broadcaster, producer, entrepreneur, a businessman. He was born in I'm not sure how you say that one though. Edirne in Turkey on the 29th of May 1969, aged 52. Which, for reference, if you're wondering where that is, it's 452 miles. Yep, that's right. 452 miles. That is a 7.5-hour drive from the capital city of Ankara in Turkey. And And that is 175 miles and a 3.5-hour drive from Istanbul, where ILICALI moved to study in middle and secondary school, and also at Istanbul University. In case you're wondering, for reference in the UK, 175 miles is the distance from the MKM Stadium to Weston-on-the-Green, 10 miles north of Oxford. ILICALI owns TV8, TV8.5, Turkish digital platform XN, and production companies in the US, Mexico, Romania, Hungary, Brazil, Colombia and Greece, to name just a few. In case you're wondering what XN is, it was launched in 2020, just as lockdown started. How convenient. And it is basically the Turkish version of Netflix. ILICALI made his name as a sports reporter and in a travel documentary in 2004, in which he visited over 100 countries and got very high ratings and became loved by the Turkish people. Interesting fact, at university he was studying to be an English teacher, but turned his attention to starting a business just before he finished his degree. ACUN has helped adapt TV shows that we know here in the UK, such as Deal or No Deal, MasterChef, The Voice, Insert Country Here's Got Talent, and Ninja Warrior for TV in Turkey. Now, his businessman sort of background all links into football very nicely after you find out that in the summer of 2020 he invested in Fortuna Sittard in the Eredivisie, but sold his shares to invest in an English club. And finally, the one you're most interested in, the net worth. Around 200 million US dollars. Now, if you want to compare that to what we've got now in Allam, ACUN is worth 1 billion US dollars. Another fact about ACUN then, he's a big fan of FanHub and has been married 3 times. What a guy! What a guy! And now, in case you're wondering what sort of fee that the club would be sold for, the last fee that was quoted by any outlet was around 20 million. However, the debts the club has is 43 million, 39 million of which is owed to the Allams for the loan they put into the club to pay off the debts when they first bought the club. So how much the club would cost to buy, I don't know. Now that that's all out of the way, let's have a look at where these rumours came from. So, it all stemmed from him selling his shares of Fortuna Sittard and saying he wanted to buy an English club in May this year, May 2021. Allam then followed him on Instagram, which many City fans picked up on massively and thought, oh my god, he's got money, is this a takeover? That got the ball rolling. English and Turkish press reported the interest that the TV personality, producer, whatever you want to call him, he does all the jobs, had in buying the club. And then on the 25th of May, Turkish media company Spor Arena reported exclusive news that, quote, ACUN ILICALI's first meeting on behalf of purchasing Hull City was positive. ILICALI, who has been in contact with the club officials for a while, is expected to take official steps on the acquisition. Then throughout the summer, various Turkish sources reported that the deal had been done. On the 11th of June, Turkish journalist, excuse my pronunciation here, Nihat Genç, who has almost 1 million followers on Twitter, tweeted, quote, I really don't get it. Why would ACUN ILICALI not buy his home city, Erzurumspor, which he loves so much, instead of printing money for the Hull City team from England? Throughout sort of latter July, early August, everything was very quiet on the takeover front. And I was down to the fact that these rumours were just that, rumours. They'd gone away, nothing was going to happen. But on the 9th of September, another Turkish source said that the deal was done. This relit the flame for about 3 days. ILICALI reportedly said during that time, I quote, "I'm thinking of buying Hull City in England. The other side trusts us. If God permits, my dream will come true. I hope that Hull City will consist of Turkish people, from its coach to certain football players, in the future." What he's basically saying there is that if he bought Hull City, the team would have a Turkish manager and have a core of Turkish players. Won't be fully Turkish because you need a certain amount of homegrown players for registration. But basically, it would just be the relationship that Wolves have with Portuguese players, where they just sign all of them. But we'd have a lot less money. And then on the 25th of September, the man himself did an interview with CNN in Turkey. And he said that he really wanted to buy Hull City and negotiations had gone smoothly so far. He said he'd been to visit Hull and liked what he saw. Then, the 7th of October 2021, Hull Live reports that the deal is understood to be getting closer between Allam and ACUN ILICALI over the sale of Hull City. Sources in Turkey told Hull Live that ILICALI is becoming increasingly confident of concluding a deal for the Championship club. There's no indication at the moment if due diligence has been done or if it's even started yet. Or even if the formal process of the takeover, of the sale of the club has begun. But indications within ILICALI's camp suggests that he really wants to get this done. And he's confident that it can be done. However, what do some Hull City fans think? Take it away.
Hi everyone, Matt Lill here from the Hull and Back podcast. Just a quick 30-second segment on what I think towards the takeover talks and what's probably going to come from it. So this is probably the closest we've been since the club's been up to sale for, or as the rumours say, the closest we've been to being sold. My thoughts on it are, change isn't always a good thing. However, change is needed right now. So I think in this case, we live by the sword, die by the sword. So take the change. If it's good, bad, we deal with it. But hopefully a change will bring back a lot of fans and bring some unity and a lot of the fans together, hopefully. Success isn't always a guarantee, but right now the fans need to be pulled back together, and a change in ownership hopefully does that.
So I think as a club, as a fan of the club, I'm really hoping it happens. I think everything that the club and the fans have been through with the Allams, obviously there was a lot of highs back in the day, but I feel like the back end of it has sort of just really sort of, penciled through all the good times really. So I think myself and all of the other fans will want this to happen. Whether it actually does happen or not, I have no idea. It's like all of the other ones previously, all of the rumours. You never know whether it's actually going to happen. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I really want it to happen. I think everybody at the club wants a new start, and I do think that with new owners, a lot of the fans would start going back to the stadium as well, and we'd get back to what we know.
Hi, on the recent takeover rumours, Turkey Tigers, ILICALI in, we're going to be in the Champions League in the next decade, I hope. On whether it's actually going to happen or not, no idea. We've been here before with that Chinese consortium in the Premier League a few years ago, but hopefully this one goes through. So, Turkey Tigers, up the Tigers, I hope it happens.
So, the Hull City takeover, do I think it will happen? I believe it when I actually see it. It's all rumours and speculation at the minute. All we can do is live in hope and hope the Allams do go sometime in the near future. I really think the club needs a change of ownership now, after all the years we've had with the Allams.
Hello Joe, I hope you're well. You've asked me for a little clip about what I think about the chances of a takeover. This is me, Charlie Farmer. I don't know where to start. Like, you've given up so much on whether you think something will happen or not. You don't want to hope too much, but you don't want to say it won't. I'm hearing a lot of bits and bobs from people suggesting it's very possible. if they don't make a deal now, they may never, because this is the last possible point where we might be sold whilst we are still a legitimate championship club with chances of staying up. But we'll see. I don't know whether to hope, to not hope, to give up hope. The question really, frankly, is I don't know. But I cross my fingers. Okay. Cheers, pal. Hope you well.
However, I have more news. Thank you to the fans that appeared there. Check them all out in the description. Secondly, I have more news. Another potential buyer. Azerbaijani businessman NASIB PIRIYEV has identified Hull City as a potential target if his proposed takeover of West Ham United fails. PIRIYEV is fronting a London-based consortium called PAI Capitals, attempting to buy the Premier League outfit, but he's so far been unsuccessful in trying to tempt the Davids, Gold and Sullivan into doing a deal, with the pair unwilling to sell, with West Ham doing so well in the Premier League and competing in the Europa League. Talking to the Athletics Football Podcast, PIRIYEV said, "Believe it or not, West Ham is close to my heart. It's going to be number one in the priority list and it's a beautiful and amazing opportunity. There is so much to be done. If we look at any other club, I must say it will be more pragmatic, more business-minded approach. And it would be a smaller club. You know, there's a few that are struggling. There are interesting opportunities around Derby, around Hull. You know, there's interesting ones which you can buy and then bring up. There's so much going on. There are many risks that we need to assess before making these decisions, brackets, whether to try and buy the likes of the Rams or the Tigers." Well, that is your lot, ladies and gentlemen. Will Hull City get taken over? Will any of this mean anything? Who knows? Last few days, this speculation has really ramped up. And it's got Hull City fans excited. Thank you to all the guests, to all the fans who appeared a few moments ago. Hope you enjoyed this one. Sorry if it's been a bit longer than I intended. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Drop your thoughts on the potential takeover down in the comments. And I will see you very soon as Championship action returns in just under a week's time. Goodbye.